Tarumbeta italia katika anga
like this. That is how the trumpet will sound.
Konene. So on Tuesday kuna vile the Kenya Meteorological Department ilibaki imetweet heavy rainfall advisory number 2 ya the year 2026. Alafu ikasema issued on the 3rd of March 2026 at 4 p.m. and valid from the 3rd of March 6 p.m. hadi the 9th of March 7 p.m. Ikasema heavy rain ni 20 mm kwenda juu, peaking between 4th to the 7th of March. And then what happened? On the 5th of March stroke 6th of March, ile mvua imenyesha Nairobi imekuwa so serious. Like some of the videos ile nimecheki, like wasee wamekuwa kishare overnight cause mvua even by the time na record saizi ni like 2:31 am and I'm still feeling the rain and the rain is still pounding. So nimekuwa nikichekizi like the videos that people had posted. So kulikuwa na hii video moja ile unacheki mse wasanduthi wanapita some mkokoteni and you can just see like the amount of water that's there. And so the Singapore dream inaka, this is how we are going to get this Singapore dream going. Like hizo ni floods zile unacheki, but at least hii place unaweza cheki hata nduthi inaweza enda, cause of course kuna time na flooding mpaka it becomes super dangerous for nduthi. So kulikuwa na hiyo, kuna mse fulani alienda pa kipost Parklands. So Parklands lazima uangalie from two perspectives. Kuna vile Parklands imekuwa na a lot of construction lately, and I remember like one of the worst construction ishaionaga ni Parklands. Hii story yetu ya Kenya inaitwa ni beacon to beacon. Vile hii building inaishi hapa, ingine inaanza hapa. Try to imagine kuishi Paki na hakuna jua. Kenya pia sisi hatukuwa get serious jo. I think tulikuwa hapa na mse like an architect after ile building ya the mwaka collapse, na alikuwa naita hizo buildings sick buildings. You can't live in a sick building in Parklands. Tukuwe serious jo. You can always get a better building. But sasa jo hizo constructions zile zina happen anyhowly. Pia kuna mse mwingine alikuwa amepost I think akidrive akienda mtaani and all you can see is floods. And floods kama hizi zinakuwa zile zinafanyaga magari pia zinakufa. Kwa unajua Kenya waga tunafikiria like gari zote zinabaki zime go through this. Check vile msejo nikayo maji inaingia ndani ya ma3. That's how high the water is. Hii mtu anakuwa advised. Kuna magari ikipitia hapa ni garage straight jo. So hii ndio kitu moja ni bamba, cause Parklands is supposed to be in quotes a middle class neighborhood, but we are so used to incompetence that wasa Parklands utapata since wako middle class wako like we don't even need to vote. And then what ends up happening, Mr. Dimples comes in. Mr. Dimples inasemekana like he's super rich. Na kwa ile majuzi nikianalyze story yake nikisema that I expected him to still wiggle his way out because he has the money to do it. Kumbuka hata vile tuli have Alai hapa, Alai alibongaga hivyo, alisimule msana do, anakuambiaga tu live. Hii do imetoka wapi? I don't know man. He's just a good businessman. The businesses he does, we can't figure out. So hiyo ilikuwa ni Parklands. Parklands unachiki mpaka ma3. Unafeel kama ma3 inaenda kuingizwa maji ndani. Alafu pia kulikuwa na video nyingine pia nilicheki. Niliwasa ilikuwa ameshare, ilikuwa ni maside za South B. Alafu hapo unachiki ma-tents. And I think ni around pia, I think if they, I'm not wrong, kuna at point where you see a mosque. And you can just see the amount of rain that's there. Yes, I don't know if that's a mosque hapo. Yeah. Alafu unacheki jo, that's how much it was raining. But this rain kuna shindo kana bonga jei. Usha notice kuna tisho fulani mwaga nayo. Leo lakini sijaiva. Na kwa game imeandikwa ni science. Alafu ni kwa works like magic. Kumbuka hii nini? The Kenya Met Department ilikuwa imeshatuambia this is going to happen. Kumbuka kuna raia sio ya kawaida inaitwa nani jo? Prophet Ogur alituambia kutakuwa na earthquake, then akasema ameomba earthquake haiku happen. You know that nonsense, yes? But then bado ikikam to his story, hii sa video ya mwisho. I don't know if this actually happened kwa hii mvua ya saa hizi, but this was actually funny jo. So vile video inaanza na mse crippled akiwa kwa ile track yake. I think yuko busy. So ameambia raya ingine sio ya kawaida, I can help you cross from this side to this other side. But of course he's struggling and they are going slow. So fala fulani anaamua kusaidia. Akiamua kusaidia jo ule mse amebebwa jo na end up on his haga jo. iraya jo inatoka from haga jo, the first thing inaamka iko nene, ini jinga gani unataka kuleta hapa? Kwani unatry kusaidia jo? Yeah, jo, the laws of physics jo, as soon as yo nini ilienda hivi jo, iraya jo ikaenda kwa haga mpaka naionea huruma jo. Hii sijui ka ili happen saizi, but yes, so Nairobi kuna floods and I don't know, saizi nasamkana ni from 4th to 7th of March. That's actually scary, man. Like, that's actually scary. Yeah, damn, all those days, man. And will we ever figure out this flooding thing? One of the things ilinajua ni nature. I've said that before. Nature does not care about all your drainage systems and what and what and what. But still, we can do something about it. We can have situations whereby at least we try to improve something. And apart from trying to improve something, another thing that we can do is, let time from a flood evil, since we can still go and clean this water, we can have the county trucks actually collecting the water. But what happens? We've privatized everything. So since we've privatized everything, we end up in a situation whereby we can never even take advantage of the rain. Because try and imagine, this rain, this is water. One of the most interesting things we discover about from science is, because this is something we can expect, but the fact that I think Nishai mentioned hapa, but nakumbuka nikicheki some scientists akisema ati that water that's in your glass, there is a 99.9% probability shaipita through a dinosaur. That basically there is no water that, najua, like maji waga hapa ina evaporate huko, ina condense, inarudi, like ni hivyo tu. There is no new water in the universe. There is no, yes, so hatuwezi create new water. So the water that's there, it's always there. So you can try and imagine how much we can do with imagia floods. But you know, at least tuko na msewa madimples and yeah, it is what it is. So Nairobi kume flood saa hizi, na kwa umeamka asubuhi and hujatoka nje, kwanza pigilia gumboots jo. Sikuwa nafikiria jo tunaweza bonga juu ya gumboots. Sasa hizi nafanya nafikiria jo, maybe it's time that I need to look for gumboots. After hizi I think imefika level fulani ile ukiwa out there unaangalia jua jo. Kwanza ukiwa hizi raya zinakuwa na ndai ziko chini kabisa, juu unapenda speed. Unacheki tu hivi like hii kikunywa maji naenda kukufa, unaingia kwa unahepa home haraka haraka. But imesemekana ni from 4th to 7th. So inamaanisha we expect that, but maybe still leo na kesho, but the notice period ilikuwa inaendelea up to 9th. That means up to Monday. So it means that anytime you're out there, expects the floods. And these floods have been dangerous. I remember a few years back, maybe 2 or 3 years back, kuna msalidedi kwa ndai hapa tu na hii kwa floods na cheki. So that's something to take seriously. But of course, iga vasa hizi kuna vile wataki criticism. So wacha sasa tubongejua the next guy. So kuna buda anaitwa Mbadi, and Mbadi alikuwa amejump sana. Mbadi amejump because we've been questioning some of the decisions that they are making. And one of the decisions, of course, ilikuwa the sale of Safaricom, and pia kuna the sale ya Kenya Pipeline. And with a lot of these things, you find it's just the basic common sense of these are national assets. Why are we selling national assets? Why are we giving presidents so much power that they can make decisions that are going to affect us forever? And one thing that you notice with Ruto is, and I keep saying, is every time you listen to Ruto talking, he never plans for like even 7 years. Kila kitu nakoga ni 20, 30 years. And I don't know, shindaga ukisikia nikizusha jole fala inaitwa Trump, because hiyo fala ikitry kuchange constitution ya America, jua tu one thing guaranteed, Kenya, Mr. Sugoiman hataenda place yote. Tutamtoa, hamtamtoa. But wacha tusikie kile Mbadi alikuwa anasema.
Is in the heads of the people who wanted to frustrate this IPO. And they actually succeeded to some extent by getting a lot of uncertainty around this, sending some funny characters all over the place to take us to court. To the extent now we had to answer so many questions from foreign investors.
If these foreign investors do not want every Kenyan on board, then they need to fuck off. I think that's the in history. Switch to foreign investors like they are these special people who are doing us a favor. They're not doing us a favor. The keyword is investor. An investor only invests when they see that they're going to make money. So they are not doing us a favor. Hakuna mtu yote ataacha an investment because kuna maswali around the investment, unless maswali yenyewe ni ile itafanya abaki amemake losses. But these foreign investors but tuendelee.
Investors who didn't understand our market very well. That is why you can see the interest from foreign investors went down, because Kenyans are too much about discrediting their processes, even the ones they don't understand.
Achikio. So umse aliamua kutry kutu disrespect akibonga jia vile tukiuliza maswali nafanya foreign investors waende. And what sort of foreign investors are we talking about? Of course, watu kama akina Adani, people who are charged with corruption in their own countries, people who are charged with tax evasion, and such people, of course, would not want any sort of scrutiny. So I'm not surprised that an Adani would be like, you know what, hell no, I don't need all these questions. I don't need all this spotlight around me. So, yeah, but hiyo nabonga juu yao. But that kikamata stories are ni Vodacom ama Vodafone and Safaricom. Of course, there are questions to be asked, like, is this the best deal that we can make? Because kumbuka majuzi when people were fighting for Netflix, and ilikuwa ni Paramount versus yani okay, watu walikuwa nafightia HBO, hiyo Warner, and ilikuwa ni Paramount versus Netflix, and eventually who ended up winning? Paramount, because Paramount really put the more money on the table, and that's how business is supposed to work, is who puts more money on the table. If you're selling Safaricom, you can't come and tell us, since one share is this, I'm going to sell it. No, it doesn't work like that. Najua, it's about even future valuation, like how far can this go? So wacha tulipe hii pesa, yeah. But tuendelee. Kuzumsa aliendelea kuwa very disrespectful, kutry kutuonyesha that anajua kila kitu na there is no one who's supposed to question him. And of course, these are not even his ideas. These are very sugoi ideas.
In Kenya, everybody is a valuer. Everybody is a lawyer. We are all legal experts. We are all accountants. We want to analyze P&L and balance sheet, and we are saying how balance sheet is inaccurate. And you never went beyond class 8. You never did any accounting or any economics. You never did anything like that. But you want everybody to believe you understand. But even the people you think understand, politics distorts their minds. When they talk, you wonder whether this is a graduate. In fact, even my fishmonger, the shores of Lake Victoria, reasons better than some of them.
Okay, so akaamua ku disrespect fishmongers, and I don't know who you are talking to. Oh, this was actually Jana. I think I remember seeing my nephew, and he'd shown up on a bicycle, and I remember telling him like, hey, make sure unajua like kwa barabara you're not respected, so you have to be careful. And that's the sad thing, like you would never tell someone that in Europe. In Europe, they respect bicycles a lot. Let's not even go to Europe. So you cross over to Addis Ababa, one of the best cities right now in Nairobi, they respect. But when you hear people like this talking about fishmongers, like fishmongers are these uneducated people. While you can find someone who's educated, who loves fish and decides to be a fishmonger and decides to, I'm going to do this, then do that. Najua. So this is what we have, very arrogant, and since tuna question hizi deals zao, kuzo deals zao tunajuaga they are rooted in corruption. There is never the interest of the country first, inakuaga the interest of individuals. That's why kumbuka nikibonga juu ya pesa print and how we have a whole highway like fines and what are going to be handled by private individuals. And if you hear their plans are always beyond their years of power. And I won't lie to you, if there's someone who's interested in seeing if Trump is going to get a third term, that one I can 100% guarantee you ni Ruto. Wewe unaweza lianga hiyo story kuzutajiambia haiwezi happen. And it's a very interesting thing. Yo inaitwa nini, yo mentality ya kitu haiwezi fanyika inakuwa very interesting because it makes it easy for it to happen. I always say in everything you have to look at the worst case scenario. What's the worst that can happen? And the worst that can happen is, and this is the reason why I keep repeating this, in 2007 Kibaki alifundisha the incumbents that they don't have to go anywhere. They can just use the gun. And if Trump decides to change the constitution, Mr. Sugoi ataangalia hivi, atashindwa niende home even after 10 years ama nitandike tu watu 2-3 risasi, na watu 2-3 risasi inamaanisha hips za watu. Kumbuka ile kitu ile happen TZ, na niendelee stay in power forever. Yes, and that can happen. Haiwezi happen. Ili happen 2007, wasa walisema Kenya itaendelea. Kenya iliendelea. Ili happen 2025 in TZ. Kila mtu akasema the international community is not going to let her get away with it, and she got away with it. Number one thing lazima realize ukiangalia world politics is white people don't care that much. Na nikiona, I always remember Francis Gaido, let's tweet about Jirongo. The Americans can't let Jirongo die. What the hell would the Americans care about Jirongo? Considering because ile raha ilikuwa ni accident, haikuwa na anything special. And after that was someone who'd like made the Kenyan shilling so weak, so he can, I'm sorry to say, if I believed in hell, but he can RIH. But wacha tukamnakia kwa kitu ingine. Kumekuwa na hii story, kuna buda anaitwa Alfred Keter. Alfred Keter ni ule mse, I think the skubada alikuwa gava, kuna kiburi, ni ule ile raya ya matapaka. So ile raya ya matapaka, kuna vile alishia kwa hii funeral ilikuwa happen majuzi, ama ilikuwa happen jana, that is funeral ya Nieno. And one of the things that jazz me is after hiyo rally alibaki ameamua kubonga na wasee, and akibonga na watu you can see how naive Kenyans online are, cause he ended up talking to the Kipsigis, and in the process akibonga juu ya Kipsigis, watu wa Kipsigis, kuna ile time alibaki amebonga juu ya one term, alafu nasikia wasa wako zile za hata kwa ground vitu zimebadilika, the Kipsigis wanasema one term. Really matapaka? Okay, acha tusikize.
Kuweka mkono hivi moja.
Gongoi, I guess ni asante. I can guarantee you these guys will just say one term, your time, because of that key euphoria in the moment, but let's go to vote. I can guarantee you and double guarantee you and triple guarantee you that watabaki wamevote for Ruto.
Konene, najua mwaka ni mpya lakini injili ni ile ile lemfi. So kama uko US, uko UK, uko Canada ama uko the UAE na unatry kutuma do Kenya, baki umechangamka, ingia lemfi, utabaki umepata the most competitive rates. Lakini apart from that, on your first transaction ya $100 or more, utapata $20 sign up reward. So unangoja nini? Baki umechangamka, chap ingia lemfi, international payments for everyone.
And but tukitoka hapo wacha tuponge juu ya airports kidogo, and of course kuna vile gava imesema that they want to expand JKIA, and they have a plan, and this plan I think it's a good plan. The only thing unikatiaga juu ya Kenya ni, as I was saying, like you always have to look at all these things and wonder how they're going to benefit, because kumbuka tulibaki tumekata stories za PPP ikikam to stories za Adani. But then saizi tunasikia that new airport, everything that's going to happen is going to happen courtesy of PPP. So you have to wonder like who else is involved, and you have to know that even after like early this week nikibonga juu how we are fighting accidents and how Ruto is going to make a killing from the accidents, no intended, not a killing, but from trying to fight accidents, like from the survivors. And all us on overspeed, of course, hizo fines zitakuwa zikienda kwa Pesaprint, which is a company which he owns basically. You have to look at this and wonder how much money is he making from this. Is it a good idea? Yes. Do I think it's going to be overpriced? Yes, because kumbuka hata historia ya Mauri Roni inasemekana during time ya Uhuru the budget was 156 billion. Alafu time ya Ruto that budget ya 156 billion was cancelled and a new budget ya 200 billion was announced. Alafu kama juzi nikiwatch ubuda naitwa Nyonka yuko hapa anasema, you see they added 40 billion. I'm like, no, they didn't add 40 billion, they added 44 billion. There's an extra 4 billion there. Sometimes subonga juu ya bilioni ni kama ni pesa mtu anaweza tumia kupanguza haga. So wacha tusikie juu ya airport. Is it a good idea? Yes. Do I expect a scandal baadaye? Of course.
Has revived Jomo Kenyatta International Airport modernization program by unveiling an ambitious plan to transform the international airport and make the facility stay ahead of competition from Ethiopia and Rwanda. According to the program's master plan, the redevelopment project will expand its runways, terminals and transport links over the next 2 decades to make the country's main airport a modern aviation hub capable of handling more than double its current passenger traffic.
Meskeyo, the next 2 decades, every plan ya Ruto, hakunaga plan ya ira inakuwaga like, we have this 5-year plan, let's do this. Kila kitu inakuwaga 2 decades, and then look to the west. Najua, wacha nikuwe kama Haile Selassie, look to the west. Hiyo fala inaitwa Trump ikijaribu kitu ya 3rd term. The whole of Africa, damn. I'll be sad for Africa, man. Freedom of expression, like all those rights tumekuwa nazo zita disappear overnight. Kwa sasa itakuwa now there's power to be kept. And when there's power to be kept, the equation changes. But tuendele.
Earlier this week, the government set the process in motion by inviting investors to bid for the project. Jasmine Omboy now takes us inside what redeveloped JKIA could look like.
So umesikia that early this week waliitisha investors. Of course, hiyo ni story. Investors niko sure tayari washapatikana. Right now it's about hii kitu ilikuwa inafaa kwa maybe 200 billion. Let's put it at 300. Yeah, 100 to split. Ama fala na ito taxpayer watalipa, si ndio? Na wakileta kichwa tuna remind tribe zao ndio akumbuke. Usisahau, ambia mjaka Mbadi iko ndani ya serikali, inamaanisha uko ndani ya serikali. Ambia mkale Mr. Sugoi akikula pia umekula. Just kuna sikia njani kusende kunywa maji acha ujinga. Ambia unacheki, so the Kenyan voter is still the Kenyan voter, so these people can steal in peace. But wacha tusikize how the airport is going to be improved.
For nearly 7 decades, the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport has been Kenya's main gateway to the world. Opened in 1958 and spread across roughly 11,000 acres in Nairobi's Embakasi area, the airport now serves about 70 destinations, 8 domestic and 62 international routes. Last year alone, JKIA handled just under 9 million passengers. And as the number of travelers grows, the airport has increasingly been running into physical limits. The entire operation currently relies on a single 4-kilometer runway with limited taxiways and constrained aircraft parking space. Passengers...
Haini kitu moja ile, okay, I don't know, I think ni vile the Kenya hii airport yetu waga imeundwa. So you don't see a lot of outside, like haikuwagi imeundwa vimodern hivyo. Kama si hivyo, I think mimi ndio jipataga kwa the wrong spaces. But ukienda kwa a lot of these international airports, they're actually super busy. Like ukiangalia ganino na gai na take off, hii inafanya, hii inakuwa like very busy. So does this need upgrading? Yes, it needs upgrading. A lot of stuff needs upgrading, especially musamaga ukiland Kenya alafu uingie tu kwa hizo barabara ujipate uko pale unatwerk hapo JKIA, inakuwaga such a bad look. So yeah, this is something that if you have to ask me, I fully support. Najua like, let's expand the airport, let's what. The only thing mu worry hizi story ni if these things were done in good faith, where Mr. Sugoi was like, you know what, I own a hotel, and apart from owning this hotel, I have taken 1 lane to be my parking. I have enough. Najua, but I own Pesa Print, have enough. That would be good, but damn man, there is never enough. And that's why now niko sure project kama hii, project kama hii niko sure ina keep the great grandkids or the great grandkids or the great grandkids secure. Like pesa itaibiwa hapa.
Passenger terminals have been expanded in stages over the years, but much of the infrastructure is aging and congestion during peak hours has become common. According to the government's newly completed master plan, passenger numbers at JKIA are projected to climb from about 8 million today to about 23 million every year by 2045.
So hii place, kitu moja unikati, hata hizo screens, I don't know what those screens are called, but hizo screens za kuenda kuangalia like the next flight. Zinakaga za 1920. Then uende kwa hizi screens pia zinakuwaga karibu na place ya luggage. Hizo unapataga nikaa, siwezi kuwa surprised ni screen moja hizo raya za KAA alitoa kwa bedroom akakaa mtu akaiwekelea pale. That's how pathetic they look. Like by the time unafika tu kwa hiyo airport, you feel like it's third world. Then ukam go to ile reception, uangaliwe na kale ka webcam macho hivi, ka webcam kingine unaona hata mzachiki unangoja hapo raya imekamwagia mate kakawipe kuangalia. Yani it's pathetic. Inakuwaga like ukifika kwa airport you just know you're in a third world country and there is nothing. And when you think about the things that need to be changed there, those are cheap things. It's a budget of like with 1 million shillings, because 1 million shillings for Kenya, it's cheap. With 1 million shillings unaweza fanya hiyo place ya kuingia hivi kwa a whole different experience. But you know these clowns, they'll always want to steal. So that's the reason why inakuanga vile iko. But yes, so hii airport wana try to expand, and I can say that yeah. So they talk about the fact that they want to start with like a few repairs while this is still functional, and then a whole other like repair ili itakuwa more modern and more what. I am really curious about the more modern part, because wana claim it has a 2026 and it should be completed by 2029 and the elections in 2027. Okay. Okay. Tuendelee.
To handle that surge, the airport will undergo a phased transformation designed to expand capacity while keeping operations running. The development will involve two major projects happening at the same time. The first will focus on upgrading the existing airport. Beginning in 2026, improvements to the current JKIA facilities will run for about 15 months.
So we'll be upgrading the current terminal immediately while we are building the new terminal.
This works will include enhancements to airfield infrastructure such as new rapid exit taxiways, improvements to aircraft parking areas, and upgrades to existing terminals aimed at easing congestion and improving passenger flow. But at the same time, construction will begin on an entirely new airport complex within the JKIA grounds. Groundbreaking is expected to start in 2026, with construction expected to run for about 3 years. The new development will be located roughly 1 kilometer from the current airport facilities.
So yeah, hiyo ndio kitu anasema, and with that, I'm not going to complain. Do I think there's going to be a lot of looting? Yes, there's going to be a lot of looting. Am I looking forward to a new, more revamped airport? Yes, there is. Why? Because even if the looting happens, eventually if we get a president who wants to go back and recover the money, recover the loot, we can do that. Najua. So I don't think there is anything. You see, one of the best things that Ruto alifanyaga is during his first days when he decided to let his people invade ile farm ya Kenyatta. What that did is it made former presidents not 100% safe. And that means that that can be pushed up a higher notch. So if he's going to improve the airport, me personally, I have no problem with it. But now, kuna another airport where ye mwenye he stole the land from, I don't know, was it from the airport itself or from the school? Sometimes nasikiaga ni land ya airport, sometimes nasikia ni land ya school. But we're talking about Weston. So, leo, gazeti ya leo ya The Standard, imeandikwa, waiting for deaths, then kakwa Wilson disaster, then kakwa warnings have been issued, reports written. The latest released just last week, and protest held, yet little has changed at Nairobi's Wilson Airport. Crumbling runways, falling rescue system, skyscrapers creeping into flight paths, and political interference have left the busy air hub dangerously exposed. With more than 120,000 aircraft movements every year, insiders warn Wilson is overstretched, poorly regulated, and edging towards disaster. So, hii report nimeicheki nikakumbuka kuna place fulani mupendaga kwenda kukula nguruwe jo hiyo area. Itabidi John baki nimestay away. Why? Because nakumbuka huyu boy anaitwa nani, ashaisema hii story. Tulikuwa hapa na Ndovuku. Because Ndovuku ashaiwaka hapo na Ndovuku alibaki amebonga juu ya Murphy's Law. Specifically akisema like whatever you think the worst thing can happen, it can happen. And Wilson Airport, cheki, kumbuka kuna a lot of buildings around it that are not supposed to be there, and apart from that there's even a hotel. Okay, so try to imagine you're in that hotel and then a disaster happens and that hotel has taken parking on the way. So inamaanisha road pia ni ndogo. There is no place to escape. That's a disaster waiting to happen. So yeah, walibaki wame put the nini hapa, ikakuwa ni number one thing ni deteriorating infrastructure at Wilson Airport. A 2023 multi-sectoral technical committee found Wilson Airport suffering from damaged railways, leaking pipes, poor drainage, rusted roofs, and weak power backup systems. Then ikaendelea March 5th, 2024, deadly mid-air accident. Then ikakuwa ni when a Cessna 172 training aircraft collided mid-air with a Safaricom Dash 8. Damn, I remember nikisikia hii story. Okay, then what else happened? Then wakaendelea 120,000 crafts handled, thousands of planes take off and land at Wilson, including training flights and commercial ones. Then ikaendelea operational and management failures, aviation insiders point to poor air traffic control, coordination and a culture of impunity. Then ikakuwa ni 40 enforcement notices issued to errant developers near Wilson Airport. Do they care? No, because pia Kenya we believe you can never go wrong with real estate. Na pia ukigrab land, you can just build anyhowly. You can build anyhowly, sell those houses to people. Eventually watakaa mwambiwe na maybe the right president akikuja itakuwa like hizi vitu zenyu lazima ziende, watu watalia, but najua. So ikakuwa, I think kulikuwa na article ya say bado back in the days. When was this? This was Friday, July 18th. I don't know. Maybe was this 20 wale ilikuwa imeandikwa ticking time bomb. Alafu ikakuwa ni in the skies above Nairobi's Wilson Airport, pilots are risking their lives and those of their passengers every single day. What was once routine takeoff and landing is now a high-stakes gamble through a gauntlet of rogue high-rises, many built illegally in defiance of flight safety laws. At the heart of this looming disaster is a powerful northern Kenyan politician, accused of twisting regulators into green-lighting unauthorized skyscrapers along critical approach paths. Aircrafts are now forced into steep last-minute drops to clear obstacles. One wrong gust of wind and it could end in flames. Like, damn, man. Damn. Okay, northeastern politician. Is it that one who's worth like 900 million? Which one is that? I'd want to know. So yeah, this is Wilson Airport. History of Wilson Airport, like I've heard it so many times that right now I can just say it's a waiting game. And of course, as much as umetoka kujoke that mwenda kudishi nini hiyo area, nitangwa nguruwe hiyo area, you can't avoid the area totally. Of course naweza amua stand up kukula nguruwe hapo, but still siwezi avoid Langata Road. And you see shit kama hiyo ikihappen, you don't know the time, you don't know the hour, but it just shows you the sort of society to be built, that all it takes is for a politician to have so much power. Even remind, there's something I saw, certain Chinese, and that Chinese was explaining the difference between America and China. And I'd say that's the difference between also Kenya na country kama China. Why? America may let the rich to get away with a lot of stuff. And now you have third world countries kama Kenya that copy that. But since we didn't have the right forefathers, na cheki, because did we have some right forefather? Yes, them white dudes akina Mackinnon, I think. Those ones were the right. Did they come with colonialism? Yes, but they had an idea. But then we had another forefather called Kenyatta. So Kenyatta, alionyeshaga say, if you come into power, all you are supposed to do is make yourself rich. Fuck the country. Then what happened? Moi came with the same sort of philosophy. And Kibaki akakuja akatry, but still stole. Uhuru akaiba bado, na saizi Ruto anaiba. And with that pia watu wakaonyeshwa that if you have enough money in this country, you don't have to follow laws. So just cause worldwide inakuwaga that airports should have a clear path, no. You can just grab the land and build hizi skyscrapers zako. So nilichekiwa buda alikuwa na explain, anasema vile China, the difference is like in America, the so-called billionaires can manipulate politics, but in China that ish can't happen. Najua alafu alikuwa na mock mpaka parties, anasema vile America may change, unaweza change political parties, but you can't change the policies. Acha tusikie, ilikuwa like one of the most profound things nishasikia.
In America, you can change political parties, but you can't change the policies. In China, you cannot change the party, but you can change policies.
So in that time, China ceased to be communist. Is that what you're saying?
Well, China is a market economy, and it's a vibrant market economy, but it is not a capitalist country. Here's why. There's no way a group of billionaires could control the Politburo as billionaires control American policymaking. So in China, you have a vibrant market economy, but capital does not rise above political authority.
Scale, capital does not rise above political authority. When you hear something like that, where a powerful politician decides just cause, according to Nini, the international laws and airport, kunafaa kuwa na clear pathway, what, I'm just going to do my own thing, is cause power. Yani Nini, unajua hiyo like money sasa, cause he's powerful, cause he has money. Unajua, political authority inaweza kwenda huko. Because remember, these politicians will go. The same thing, another politician decides, yes, what am I going to do? I'm going to steal land and build a hotel, and I'll still get away with it. Why? Because your design here, like power, your money, ina rise above political authority. Because don't forget, like a poor politician, like some dude imeanza term yake ya kwanza ilikuwa na 5 million shillings in the bank, haitaweza kudo hiyo shit. Like these ones that have billions,
Capital does not have enshrined rights. In America, capital, the interest of capital and capital itself has risen above the American nation. The political authority cannot check the power of capital. And that's why America is a capitalist country, but China is not. So in the 65 or 66 years, China is being run by one single party, yet the political changes that have taken place in China in this past 66 years have been wider and broader and greater than probably any other major country in modern memory.
So hiyo ni kitu interesting. Nilicheki a certain study that in China in 1990, 83% of Chinese, in 1990, 83% ya Chinese walikuwa na live on under $3 a day. Right now in 2026, that number is 0%. That's how much they've been able to achieve through good politics. Unajua, siasa nzuri. Now, of course, kuna mafala wakisikiaga hivyo, they go back to ile, pia Kenya, democracy hezi waka. Unajua, you can't claim that if we were in a dictatorship through Moi, and the reason why that didn't work is because we are busy stealing. Even right now, the reason why, like if you look at policies za Ruto without Wizi, this dude has better ideas than Uhuru. You can hate him, you can do whatever, but if he was not stealing, if he was just spending what he needs to spend, like Talanta Stadium, we are spending 44 point Nini, we are not spending 148 tick. Inaitwa Shah, we are spending, he has great ideas, but the worst thing is everything, he has to eat in everything, and they have to inflate these things. That's why it ends up being bullshit. And then unasikia Shah tumepoteza 11 billion, unasikia Talanta before hata tulipe ile 100 billion tushapoteza 11 billion. So you look at all this money that we are losing. In a country like China, they are losing zero to corruption. Every single cent goes back to the country. Ruto is richer than Jinping. That's something neza kuambia. Nikushua nikienda online, neza pata some American propagandistic claim Jinping is richer. But no, Ruto is richer than Jinping. Because Jinping is there thinking about China as a country. Ruto is there thinking about his kids, his what. So that's the difference between these countries na sisi. And according to me, they'll keep zitaendelea kutuacha. But hey, history ya Wilson, man. If you live in that neighborhood and you can move, I'd say you need to move. Na kona ni doubt, enda watch ile episode tuliduigi na ndovu kuu. And this was like, I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Because, yeah, he predicted that. Alisema, kuna siku moja, a disaster ita happen hapo Wilson Airport. And the casualties on the ground will be more than casualties wako kwa hewa. and yeah, akabonga juu ya the Murphy's law. So I think that, alafu hii article yani, it's just a matter of time, and no one is wishing for that to happen, but that's life, man. Shit happens. So if you stay there, kuna kuga those very beautiful houses around that place. Ask yourself, are you ready to sink all your life savings to a development that maybe is illegal? So these are the things you have to ask yourself, like your development unabai kuzimetiki some beautiful houses, usiwezi kudanganya. Damn, kuna kungana villas zingine around hiyo, especially katikati ya Kani na Wilson hapo. They are crazy. But the question is, are you ready to risk all your life investment in a property that maybe has been built on the wrong place? Because those are the things you have to find out, like hii kitu ilibuildiwa, and kama you're already there and you've bought the property and it's the wrong place, the only thing inabaki sasa tu ni kupiga magoti na kuambia Yesu Kristo tafadhali niokoe, and hopefully Yesu ata answer your prayers, si ndio? Prayers work. Iko nene.